Hi, and welcome back to Pawn Talk with Xavier. My guest today is a sex expert and a night code in gay London. Hello, Topher.
Hey babes, you're right. I'm happy to see you.
Yeah, it's been a while, a year now.
Ridiculous. Remember Pride? That was fun,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
A nice cool day.
Yeah. So how are you?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. I'm just like bored out of my mind, to be honest with you. Like I left South London for the first time in 6 months yesterday.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit freaked out. Like went back into the Soho because I had a meeting. So yeah, I'm just bored, to be honest with you. I feel really like restricted. It's driving me mad.
Yeah. It's all that lockdown situation has been a mad life for everyone.
Yeah, and no one's taking it seriously in London, as you know. Like people are on the streets all the time. No one wears masks, and it's just like I don't know when it's.
I think it's the same everywhere. Like even here, Manchester has been quite alright, but I feel like most of people think as soon as the lockdown and the rules been less, people been like, let's go back to a normal life, but it's not.
No, and you have all these conspiracy theorists who are like, "Oh, it's all fake. Don't wear your masks. Like masks are communism." I'm like, "Oh my god, give me a break."
So, Topher, can you present a little bit more yourself to people who doesn't know you, if they don't?
Okay, so I work in sex education. I work for Clonezone, big gay retailer. When I was like 19, I started working there, and like I built lots of relationships with gay porn stars because I knew that was a great way for our audience to connect to us because they could wear the same clothes as their like favorite porn performers. So that's kind of how I got into the like getting to know you and all the porn boys, like, you know, all the stars from like a long time. Like I've been doing it for 12, 13 years. So like so I just basically anything to do with sex, anything to encourage people to have sex or talk about it or, you know, solve problems, find them, if they're embarrassed about something, to find like a solution. That's what I enjoy. And like obviously sex toys, I review sex toys and I help, more so now, I help companies develop sex toys. So I won't be working with a finished product, I'll be working with them as they're creating it. So like, for example, yesterday I just helped a company called Hot Octopus develop a prostate toy, which is coming out soon. And it's incredible. So yeah, people are going to be coming like pigs when they try that. It's so good and it nearly made me piss myself.
Oh. Yeah, so some exciting projects on your side then.
Yeah, it's constant. Like I'm always working now. Like I've always got 5 things going. So, and I've got my podcast, which I should mention. So Sex with Topher, which is doing really well. Like, I don't want to jinx it, touch wood. Yeah, and like I've done like a little documentary for Channel 4, which has done really well. And I've just signed to an agent, so I don't know.
All good.
It looks good on paper, but let's see. Like, if the money goes in my bank, we'll see.
Yeah, but you started to work in the sex industry really young, no?
Yeah, I was 18, so I was like I was an anal virgin, first of all. I'd never tried anal sex. And I started to work in a sex shop in Soho, a straight one. Mm-hmm. And then I did like part-time shifts in another sex shop, which is another straight one, like a really dodgy one. So I kind of had that mix of, this was back when Soho was still kind of dangerous and there was a lot of vice, there was a lot of escorts, and, you know, there was a gay porn cinema that I used to sleep in if I worked late. And I just kind of got to know the sex workers, and that's kind of how I got interested in sex education, because they would kind of say to me, like, Topher, it's not just sex. Like, for some people, this is a release. This is their way of dealing with this trauma. This is their way of, you know, dealing with erectile dysfunction or like a failed marriage or like psychological issues. So that kind of steered me in. But I was a baby. Like, I was a 18-year-old hanging around with like pro dominatrixes. And like, I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but I just loved it. I like strong women, so I loved it. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was crazy. That was 100 years ago.
Yeah. So this is what will bring you after that to work for Clonezone, or did you done anything in between?
Yeah, so I worked in the straight sex shop, and then I left and I started working in a hotel, like a 5-star hotel, just doing switchboard because I needed money. And then my reputation, because of Simply Pleasure, the first place I worked for, I used to make really good sales. Like I used to make the best sales of the team. So Clonezone wanted me to go to the shop. So I went to the shop, and then quite fast they progressed me out of the shop. They wanted me in the head office. So like when I was 20, I was like managing the website, which is a big like job for a 20-year-old. But yeah, it was crazy. It's like you're running this like multi-million-pound online thing, and you're like 20, and you're like, it's like it's like kids riding a bus, you know? It's like, but so it kind of gave me a crash course in the industry from a business point of view.
Yeah.
And like, obviously I was on the phone to customers all day, every day. So I would learn about like unique questions. You know, I learned more about gay men because I'd only really worked with straight people because of the straight sex shop. So it was a whole new experience to me, and like a learning curve. And like gay people, as you know, like queer people as a whole, like gay men are one thing, but like queer people as a whole, it's such a colorful bunch. So I was learning about like, you know, fetishes and kink, and I'd be like, what? Like I was 20, and I was like, I thought I was so clued up, but no, I wasn't.
Yeah.
But it was fun. I had so much fun back in the day at Clonezone. Like I had no idea what I was doing. I used to make it up as I went along, but I did well.
So, and what are you doing for Clonezone nowadays?
So I help run the website still. I don't do that on my own because I haven't really got the time, and it's a big job now because the website's so successful. I do the PR and brand management. So I make sure, like when we're not in COVID, as you know, like we organize parties and store events, and you know, I'm always encouraging people to just get tested for STIs and do HIV testing and syphilis. And just like, yeah, social media, I'm making sure it's my job to make sure that people know us and feel comfortable to come into our shops, because that's what it's all about. Because I want to lead people in, and then they can like make their sex lives better, or you know, have a better understanding of their body.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm very cheesy, as you know. Like I like the customers that come in and are very shy and scared.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, that's the person who's probably got the most extreme interest, but they're just not brave enough to like talk about it yet, or like they've got shame for whatever reason. And I'm like in their ear, like, hey, talk to me. I'm not going to judge you, like, and I'm not, and that's the whole thing. It's just I like to think my job is just creating like a sex positive space, and I hope that people see Clonezone as that. You know, like it doesn't matter who you are or where you come from, as long as you're over 18, you know, you're welcome in our shops.
Yeah.
That's me being cheesy, but it is the truth.
So also, as obviously now, like we said, sex expert and sex education, do you have any advice for someone who wants to try anal for the first time? Because I think it's probably your next podcast, actually.
Yeah. So I just launched an episode of my podcast, which is all about beginners, like getting into anal sex. And my advice to anyone like would be listen to it, because I can't really give you quick sound bites that are going to help. Like anal is something, especially in the beginning, it should be done properly. There are routines, there are ways to keep yourself safe, and you know, not hurt yourself, and how to enjoy it. You know, how to discover your prostate, like how to clean. You know, like I didn't know about any of that shit, like at all, literal shit. And it's, sorry, excuse my language. And then, you know, what to look out for afterwards, which isn't discussed a lot, especially if you're like, not that I advise having unprotected sex, but if you do have unprotected sex, there are things you should be looking out for afterwards. You know, like even things like, you know, weird smells when there's cum left inside of you, you know, and pains and lumps and bumps and stuff. And like, it's the nitty gritty, like it's not a glamorous guide at all, but it's the reality. And that's what I want to do. I want people to listen to it and then be comfortable to have like great sex, because then that makes me happy.
So yeah. How often do you do your podcast?
Monthly. Yeah, I had a little bit of a break because, to be honest with you, lockdown, I was so uninspired and work has got crazy, but it's a monthly podcast. And I've had like Rebecca Moore, like the Cock Destroyer. I've had Phil Samba from Team Prepster, like he's an expert in HIV prevention. I've had Mistress Evelyn, who's like a dominatrix, a scat dominatrix. So she like poos into people's mouths. So that's interesting. So, and yeah, then I've had Davina De Campo from RuPaul's Drag Race UK, who's an absolute babe. Like it was such a nice conversation.
She's so lovely, honestly.
Isn't she like the nice? She's so pure, and like there's me, this white trash talking about her. I shouldn't be doing that. She's too pure for me. And then this episode coming up is just me on my own. So it's literally just me talking to someone about how to have anal. So it's quite intimate, which was the plan. Yeah. So it's like I'm your friend going to like, try this, don't do this, like use this, don't use that. Like, you know, make sure you have consent, make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons. Because I think we know as like gay guys, when you're young, there are people who are trying to have sex with you because you are a virgin. Mm-hmm. And it's quite easy to be taken advantage of. So I kind of give a little bit of a talk on just like, make sure you want to do it. And you're doing it for you, not just for them. Like it's a partnership and it's, you know, it's consensual and it's fun. Because you're going to enjoy it more if it's with someone you really fancy.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, is there anything better than having a hot guy like pounding you? Like that you fancy, like it makes your orgasm better, it makes you relaxed. Like it's, so it's detailed, it's not a quick thing, but it's the information that you need. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. So do you have any plans for your podcast? Any idea for the next ones?
The next one, I'm interviewing a great comedian called Ava Vidal, and she's very political, like she's very pro like Black Lives Matter, you know, and she's got a perspective on sex that I'll never have because she's a Black straight woman. And I'm really interested in her. She's fascinating. Her career has been incredible. And she's always on news and she's like a commentator on like current affairs and politics. And, you know, she's very clued up on like racial inequality. And I want to discuss how that comes into our industry. Because as we know, it's very white.
Yeah.
You know, the adult industry is incredibly white, like almost embarrassingly so.
Yeah.
You know, it's insane, like when you go to the porn awards and stuff and there'll be like 25 nominations and one of them's Black, and it's because he's in a couple with a white guy. And it's just like, what can we do as an industry? What can I do? What can all of us do to you know, to make sure that everyone feels included? So I'm interested to talk to her about that, and you know, just about her sex life, because that's a perspective I'll never have. And I'm jealous because I would like a vagina for a day. I want to have a clitoral orgasm. I've heard they're amazing.
Yeah, well, I saw that you've been really outspoken on Twitter. You've been actually one of those rare people who've been really open and talk about Black Lives Matters. And
yeah, I think it's important because when you're like me, like white, blonde with blue eyes, I have to recognize my privileges, and I'm not saying it to be cheesy or to make myself sound good. You know, I grew up in a very racist part of London. Mm-hmm. So racism was always a topic in my house growing up because my parents disgusted me about how wrong it was and that how I should argue with people and, you know, what the facts were. And as you get older and you begin to see things through like your own eyes, like fresh eyes, I was really bothered by it. And it's something I've always cared about. And like you'll know with any Clonezone event, I make sure with my heart and my soul that everyone feels included as much as I can.
Yeah.
And I remember when I first joined the company, I was like, why aren't you using Black models? That's really bizarre because we have Black customers. People want to see what fashion looks like on their skin tone.
Exactly.
Yeah. Even if you're thinking about it from a totally superficial, like contrived marketing point of view, you want people to know what they look like in your fashion. And yeah, so you know me, like I've always been like that, and I have a big mouth.
Yeah. Well,
and I care about people. I like people. That's at my core. Like I'd always fight for the underdog, and I'd always use whatever voice I have to help. Even if it doesn't help, at least I am putting that energy out there, and hopefully someone looks at my tweet and thinks, oh, there's a white person who's on my side, you know. Mm-hmm. And I'm lucky. I've had a great career and I've had a great year. So I want to use whatever momentum I have and use it for good, because I get bored talking about myself.
Well, to be fair, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. We've been like, we are those people, I mean, we both have followers on Twitters and social media that we can use for others. So it's always, and also like you said, we are white.
Yeah.
It's like, when you say it like this, is like, but we are white. So we don't know what those people been through. We don't know what does, and I think it's a good thing to use your platform and always support, like you said, the underdog.
Yeah, like, because I think that, like we've seen in the gay porn industry, so many porn stars out themselves by being racist and ignorant recently.
Mm.
And I've been going through with a fine tooth comb, making sure those people won't work again. Like using whatever power I have because of my reputation in the adult industry, and being like, you can't work with this person, it's not acceptable. And if you do work with them, then we won't work with you, because I won't, it goes against my personality, like it goes against my like integrity. And like I had that argument with that idiot, what's his name, I can't remember, but like, because he's being a moron, like, and he's being superficial and he's being misogynistic as well. And that doesn't fly with me. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you've got 9,000, 900,000, I'll fight you and I'll win.
Yeah, and I think everyone won with him because everyone got blocked.
Yeah, he's just like, what he needs is someone to love him and to look after him, because it's not rational behavior and it's cruel. And I worry about young feminine boys reading those tweets, and I worry about Black people reading those tweets and what that's going to do for their self-esteem. And for somebody who has like almost 100,000 followers, it's evil to do that. But enough of him, he's a cunt.
Yeah, exactly. Talking about love, how did you get, how much love did you get after your Channel 4 program?
I got a lot of hate. I got a lot of hate. I got a lot of abuse, but I knew I would. I knew what I was doing. Yeah. It was like a documentary for people who haven't seen it about using webcams to have cyber sex in lockdown, because obviously it's not safe to go and mix with strangers yet. We're not 100% sure how this disease works, this virus. So I did a documentary, and like I spoke for 24 hours about consensual sex, safe sex, using sex toys, but they kind of edited it so it's just me preparing for webcam sex, which I'm not going to blame editing, but it is a bit frustrating that I spent the day talking about, like, you know, lockdown was a great time for everybody to get tested for STIs, because we could really, everyone could know their status. So going forward, it was like a clean slate for us to, you know, educate and use condom. But yeah, they just edited it, and people don't like me because I'm like a sexually aggressive faggot, as I got called 100 times. Sorry if that offends anyone, but it's the truth. Like the comments are brutal, but I love it. I like being insulted. I think it's like a masochism thing.
Yeah, how did you get contacted by them, by the way?
They found, so basically there's a few production companies that work with like Channel 4, Channel 5, etc., who've wanted to work with me for a while, and they've brought ideas to me in the past, and I've been like, no, I'm not doing that because that's cheesy. That makes people laugh about sex. That makes people, there's a lot of like sideshow kind of shows. Like it's all about, oh my God, look, that guy's dressed as a dog, how ridiculous. And I didn't want to be part of that. And then this idea got brought to me, and I was like, okay, cool. Because I actually was using webcam, because I wasn't meeting people. So I was like, I may as well document it. And yeah, I did it. And yeah, it's done well. Like it's had like 4 million views.
Oh yeah, I saw the views were amazing. This is why I asked you how much love you get back from it. But apparently lost.
Well, I think like if there's this like Ava who I'm going to interview for the podcast, a comedian, she made a really good point. She said that, you know, when you're a gay man, people like you to be like the asexual shoulder to cry on, you know, and then there's me like screaming I love dick from the rooftops, like wearing fishnets, and like people don't like it. Well, some people do, and I've had some really lovely emails from it, and like people listening to the podcast, and yeah, young gay boys kind of saying to me, oh cool, like I kind of want to dress like that, and I'm like, well, do it, fuck it, like life is short. If this virus has taught us anything, is that everything can change in a split second. So if you want to wear a pair of fishnets, do it, but just be aware that people are going to respond to you a certain way. It's not like a Disney film. You will probably get beaten up.
So do you have any exciting project in the future?
I got contacted about another documentary, but I've said no to it because it was very much in the same theme as the first one I did, and I don't want to get into that cheesy reality TV routine, you know. It doesn't appeal to me. I don't want to be famous. Like, it doesn't interest me. I want to do sex education. like I said, I've got an agent. I've just signed on to him yesterday. So yeah, he's talking to a few production companies. But really for me right now, it's just, you know, helping Clonezone survive this COVID-19, helping like I write for a couple industry magazines and just keeping the education going really, and hopefully encouraging people to have like great sex. Being a slapper, like me. It doesn't have to be with lots of people, but as long as you're doing it, I hope you're enjoying it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm trying to think what else. I mean, nothing else really. Just writing too much, really.
Yeah. Continue. And so, can you tell us a little bit more about those sex toys then that you are working on?
Okay, I love sex toys. Like, I mean, as you know, I work with Clonezone. Like, I've worked with sex toys since I was 18. I'm fascinated by them. You know, technology is always changing, and technology is always getting better. So obviously, sex toys move and sex tech is huge. And like, you know, vibrations changing. There's interactive toys. There's Bluetooth toys. So like, if you wore a butt plug there, I could press the button on my phone here and control it. It's crazy, like, and I just think it's fascinating because I like orgasms. One of my favorite things is when someone emails me and says like, oh, I've read your website, I've never had an orgasm before, or I've never had a prostate orgasm. And I'm like, oh, yes, yes. Right, so I'm like, I can tell you what to use, I can advise you. And that's why I love my job, because it's all about pleasure and confidence and feeling good in yourself. Because, you know, especially in times like these, you know, it's nice to have something in a drawer, you know, or in a box or wherever that you can pull out and make yourself feel nice. Because, like I said, life is hard and stressful, and it's nice to have a little sex accessory.
Yeah, well, I think I don't have any more questions for today's.
Yeah, I rambled on, didn't I?
But I'll invite everyone to follow your podcasts. Do you have any plug that you want to do, social media?
Butt plug. Yeah, I mean, like, follow me. My name's Topher Taylor. There's not many people with my name, so you can find me. My podcast is on all platforms. It's completely free. I don't charge for it. It's called Sex with Topher. It's on Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, everything. So anywhere you can listen to a podcast is there. And listen to me talk shit.
Honestly, I will advise. I listen to it all the time and I really enjoy it.
Oh, thank you. I miss you so much. You're so nice. You're one of the nicest ones.
No, that was very nice to see you and having you. Hopefully we will have the chance to hang out soon and do something.
Yes, fingers crossed.
Yeah, so that was my interview with Topher. As always, if you like the video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And Topher, thank you again. And I'll see you soon.
Thank you. I love you. Take care.